Hi everybody, I'm Joey Paul and I'm an indie author, and welcome to my channel and my first live. I have the amazing Dal Runo with me with quick Q&As. So Dal, introduce yourself. Wrong finger, that one.
Hello there, humans. I am Dal Cecil Runo, the partially blind alien who is a known voices author, aka the ace from space. I write primarily sci-fi, but I also like to explore other genres with my short stories, and I write some poetry. I usually co-host on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. UK time, 8 p.m. for Sweden and Germany and Central Europe. And I'm co-hosting wherever I'm invited, and here I am.
So I'll look at these comments then. Thank you. And so it's Nerdy Book Nerd saying, so excited for this and congrats again. And Jacqueline Kirk is waiting while listening to the Rocky Horror Picture Show soundtrack and munching French fries. Those sound good. They sound good.
That's
but apparently it's
amazing.
her lunch. And here's Adra with hi and congrats on reaching 500.
Hi, Adra.
Thank you. I just let people know I have a violet in my lap. She's decided I am a human pillow. So, you know, if you see a tail strangely on the screen, that's why. And there's Tanya, and she's saying hello, good morning. Well, good afternoon for us. So I do have some questions. I have 3 that I got on my Google Forms. So I'm just going to jump in to answer the first one. I don't know who it's from because me being the brainiac that I am decided not to put a name along with the question. So who knows? But someone sent me 3 hearts that just said, I just do a few hearts. Okay, I can do a question. Which story did you enjoy writing the most, writing process? Now, I've written or I've drafted over 30 books now, finished those drafts and all of the varying stages of revisions. But which story did I enjoy writing the most? This is like choosing between my children. It's just
not gonna happen.
I can't just choose one. I love the drafting part of writing. I love the drafting period. It's just everything just seems to go so well for me then, and everything just seems to be so clear to me, even though I pants and slightly plan. But yeah, that is so. But I've enjoyed writing Dying Thoughts. That was the story that I started at the beginning of my writing career and finished about 4 years ago. So that kind of span the whole time. So it's a story that's very close to my heart, if that makes sense. So yeah. And JD is here.
I love Dying Thoughts. I really love Dying Thoughts.
Yeah, you've read some of them, haven't you?
Yeah, I have read some of them, and I relate in a way. I mean, I cannot say I relate completely, but I do relate to some aspects of it, and I'm like, how do I talk about this book without sounding that I relate to every book that I have read, because it's gonna sound so but I will say it openly, I love the books, and those have been with me through some of the darkest times. So yeah, one of my favorites though, because I have read several by Joey, because Joey is my modern day Agatha Christie. I don't care what. Sorry, Joey, but seriously, you are to me. You even share because I posted that you share a book with the same title with Agatha.
Yeah.
Destination Unknown. I was like, okay, Joey, seriously. I really love Destination Unknown. I absolutely love The Walk a Mile. I started reading Lights Out, and life has been crazy, and I haven't had the time to complete Lights Out yet. So far, I love it. Give me all my sci-fi world building. I love it. I just haven't had the time, and because it's a mystery, I am like, no. For Joey's books, I need to pay attention. So it's like, please. So I will get to that soon, but I plan to go through all the catalog at some point in my life. I'm going to read all of Joey's books. It's going to happen. It's because and genuinely, we were okay. What's the story? Why is Dal here? It's Joey's celebration. Why am I here? Well, Joey invited me.
I've never live streamed on my channel before, and I didn't want to do it on my own in case nobody turned up and I was this weirdo on YouTube just talking to myself, which I guess is what I do when I film videos, but it kind of feels different when it's live. So
Yeah, when it's live and there's no one in the chat, it's like, "Ew, what is this?" Yeah, so it's even more scary. It really is more scary. But so the thing is that we reached 500 subscribers more or less at the same time. So it's kind of like, yay, let's do it.
yeah, pretty much. It was like, I think Dal reached them first, and then I reached them like a couple of days later. And then just after I'd announced the live, YouTube went through and did like, you know, that Clear it does of accounts occasionally. And my likes, my subs dropped down below 500. And I was like, bugger, that's not going to look good. And then it jumped back up to 503 now. So I'm like, okay, that's okay then. But JD's in the chat.
Oh, hi, JD.
Hello, JD. How do I? Yeah. See, I'm still learning.
Right. What is the second question?
I'm just going to get it off my phone. I have a picture of Miss Tortellini on my phone. So, yes, that's one of the kittens. Yeah. I was going to work out if I could try and show the pictures of the kittens, but I don't know if my computer is powerful enough to do share screen. And I couldn't work out how I could get the pictures up there, but my lock screen is a picture of Miss Tortellini, who is my kitten. So, yeah, and they arrive next week. Well, they've arrived, they're born and all the rest of it, but they're coming home next week. So the second question is, what is your favorite part of the writing process? And I guess I already did this already, but like drafting is for me. I'm not very big on editing. I don't mind visions so much because generally speaking, it's just me. I'm going through it. I read through it a few times and then I will start to make an outline. I can't make an outline before I've read through it at least twice. I don't know why. It's just the way my brain works. I miss things on the first one and the second one, and then my brain starts going, okay, now it makes sense for you to start putting these puzzle pieces together, and there's a plot hole, and this is a plot hole, and this is where you're missing something, and there's all those bits and pieces, and it takes at least 2 read-throughs for me to get there. But drafting is like, I am all about that. Like, that is my favorite part of the process, and it's just very, very exciting. And I if you watch my videos, you know that I average just over about 45K a month, and that's mostly drafting. So, yeah.
I have a question though, because the genre that you write mystery.
Yeah.
So how do you pants a mystery, and like how do you do that? It works so well. I guess sure, practice, but like how? Because my idea that to write a mystery, because silly me, I am an outliner. I need to plan before I write because I'm afraid of writing like absolute garbage because I'm blind and silly, and I just don't want to miss my track. I'm like a train. I need train tracks. So that's how it works for me. But you're a complete pantser when it comes like you just go with the story, you discover your story. How do you, like you said, you find the plot holes. So but like what would be the difference between writing a mystery and maybe writing something that doesn't have a mystery element in it if you had to do that? How do you are the plot holes like stronger? It's like more obvious, or how does it work?
I'm a bit like Alexa Dunn in the fact that she'll talk about how she has those headlights and she has just enough to see what's in front of her and she's writing to that plot point. Sometimes when I have an idea, I know the killer or I know how they're going to get caught. I know I know somewhat about what the ending is. And so I can write around like over the page until I get there. Other times I've written books like where the co-conspirator, I'm not going to say who it is because, you know, spoilers. I didn't write it thinking that person was going to be involved, and yet when I went through and revised, it was like some part of my brain did know, because there were points in it that or pointed to that person, and okay, that's the way my, or whether it's that because, like you said, practice. I've been doing this for a while. I know my process. I know how I work. I know it's such to be sure. And that there have been books that I've written where the pillar or the bad guy has been so obvious that it's got stages. It's just kind of coming a mile away, and it's been during editing that I fit. So sometimes I don't very long, but other times I do.
So it will depend on the story. That's a good. Well, I mean, of course, it will always be a case by case. But like, okay, it's good. Like sometimes you just know the killer. Good. That's good to know, because like when I drafted a thriller short story, I kind of knew the ending too, but that wasn't a mystery. That was more crime. That was more a crime story than a mystery. So, so I knew that I did not have the element of who done it. But so I feel like, for example, I feel that maybe I cannot do that. So I was like, how does Joey do it? So that's why the question is like, how? I mean, you have done it so many times and it works so well. Like from what I have read, I cannot predict easily. I cannot predict easily what's happening in there. So like the book has me guessing and trying to put the pieces together. And the thing is, and I said I was going to talk about this, and I will. We see a lot of like formulas popping up and here and there. It's like a lot of writing formulas, like you have to do it this way, especially for us the outliners, you know, like here's this method, and you have to like use this formula because this is for bestsellers and this is how it's going to work. You know exactly what kind of books I'm talking about, and I have no shame. I'm not criticizing, I'm not saying it's bad. What I am saying is it's great to practice with that. But the problem is that us being writers, knowing those things means that I go into some mysteries already knowing everything. And it's kind of hard.
I've done that.
Yeah, do you feel that too, precisely because you're a mystery writer? Like, have you ever like started reading a book that it's also a mystery and you're like, yeah, that's the killer, and you're right, like from the go. It's like, I have a problem with those books because I am not that much invested. And so like this is why I see that's one of the little cons of like having too much of a formula. And I was like, but Joey doesn't have a formula like that. So it's like, wow, how does she do it? Because like it's not predictable. And that's one of my, I fall in love immensely with books that I cannot predict. That's one of my favorite things because it makes me so invested. It's like the house could be falling down. I'm still reading the book. Don't worry. I'll come out soon. I'm still reading. Sorry, I'm invested here.
It's been something where I'm a big crime mystery reader. I read thrillers. I read pretty much anything. I will read pretty much anything. And that's how I get.
She has read a romance. Okay, she has read romance. So yes, she can read whatever. She can read everything.
Yeah. I read pretty much everything, but like sometimes when I'm reading crime mystery or just even like different kinds of stories with a mystery, if it's too obvious, I don't get invested because it's just like, but I know what's going to happen. And Adra's saying, if the breadcrumb trail is a surprise to the author, it'd definitely be a surprise to the. It makes sense. Yeah. That's not always a good thing though, because sometimes it can be too much of a surprise. I have been there once or twice, but I fixed it. I fixed it with beta, fixed it with my editor. But there have been times when my subconscious is obviously putting something into the story, and yet when I get to the end, I'm like, oh, that's who did it. And my brain's like, yeah, we've been here since the beginning. I'm still catching up.
Can happen too. But you're right. Like sometimes it is a little bit too much of a surprise, like a last minute thought, and that's not
Yeah.
good either. That's not good either because there was no puzzle to piece.
Yeah, and I think too many times, like with those kind of like formulaic books, and I think that's something you've got to be really clear on. There is no formula to writing a book. There is no formula to writing a certain kind of book. There are tips and tricks and stuff you can learn along the way, but there is no
practice.
Exactly. There is no sort of like, do this step, then do this step, and then do this step, and boom, you've got yourself this kind of story. That's just not how it works. But I've read books where suddenly the killer or the bad guy turns out to be a completely big surprise. And sometimes it's like well done, and it's kind of, you're just as into it because you're like, I never saw that coming. But other times you're like, I never saw that coming for a reason, and now other parts of it don't really make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
that was like that was a deus ex machina that just didn't work.
yeah.
So it can go either or, but like you manage it with every book that I have seen. You manage it every time to like make it work, and I'm like, this is incredible. And that's why I tease you that you are like Agatha, because like the woman was diverse for her time, because she wrote diversity in there. Not that much, but hey, I saw like a blind assassin, I think, or like a blind old lady who was responsible for a few things in one of her books. I saw someone who was like paralyzed, like a wheelchair user who was in her books too. I mean, Agatha has written so many things. Murder on the Orient Express has characters from all over Europe. And I was flabbergasted. I was like, wow. I mean, this woman was very diverse for her time. So I give her credit. She was very open scope when it comes to like characters for her time and for what she knew and whatever. But like it was really good. I have a big respect for Agatha precisely because she's very, innovative. And then comes Joey, and I see a pattern, and I'm like, oh, this is. And I am surprised that a lot of people in the community have not paid more attention. I will blame time zones for it because, like, look at us now. That half of the community is sleeping. So I will blame it on the time zones, I guess.
I will say that it's not always just me. Like, I do the revisions and I have beaters just like any other writer, and I have an amazing editor that will sit there and say to me, you realize you're signaling for this? And I'm like, no. And she's like, yes. And I'm like, oh. So
I have not met Kim yet, but Kim, you sound amazing.
Yeah. It's not just me. She doesn't write the books for me, but she does make them and help me make them into what they end up being. We have a new person in the chat. It's Burrito Chris saying, sup guys. Hi.
Hello, Chris. Good to see you. Hey, where's my bro? Chris is here. No, my bro, he might be sleeping. He sleeps at weird hours.
Yeah. All right. Another question. Let me see. What are your favorite types of characters to write, and why did you decide to start doing videos? My favorite types of characters to write are basically teenagers. I know that's broad, but I love writing young adult. I always have. I started writing as a young adult, so for me it was like obvious as to why I would write young adult. But I don't really have like a set personality for any of my characters, but I do like writing teen girls who are independent, but also either have a close-knit found family or close-knit friends. I think because I grew up with very small friend group, I'm still friends with someone I grew up with. We live together. So for me, it's been like, me and B have been friends for like over 25 years. So, which just tells you how old we are. But, but I like writing those kind of characters because at the time when I was at school, the loner people were either the background characters or they weren't very fleshed out. I don't know why. They just didn't ever seem to be very fleshed out. They didn't ever seem to have their own agency or their own story to tell. And it just, for me, everybody has a story to tell, like everybody does. And I wanted to write those kind of voices. And I wanted to do
Bella Swan. Bella Swan. I woke up shady this morning.
But I wanted to write those kind of characters and I wanted to tell those kind of stories. And I started making videos. This is kind of embarrassing because I was stupid. I thought I was booktube for this like year of my time on YouTube. And then I realized like people were sort of saying to me, you don't talk about books, you talk about writing and author stuff, you're AuthorTube. And I was like, oh, that explains so much.
It's okay. I mean, you went with the logic. You're talking about your books.
Yeah.
And you didn't, when you started, you didn't know that like AuthorTube was actually a thing?
No, I didn't. If I'd known AuthorTube was a thing, I would have gone with that one. But I just thought books, writing, same thing. So I'll just call it that.
I started, okay, so this is another reason why Dal is here. I got on AuthorTube thanks to Joey. It was literally, for real, it was Joey. It was her. There's no hiding, no weirdness. We met on Twitter, right? And you met me with another name with my photography stuff. So you met me there with my photography stuff, and I met a couple of people when I was still using my photography thing while writing, because I was like in this intermission, like I didn't know what I was gonna do with my life anymore, with my creative life, and and then there were some Skillshare classes with Jenna Moresi and and like I took her building your platform because I had no freaking idea of what I was doing, because I was a photographer and a musician but not a writer, and I had no clue of nothing. I was absolutely clueless. Going back to my Twitter is funny, not cringy, funny, because it's like I really had no idea. I had no idea. Look at me. It's funny. So the thing is, I messaged Jenna, I think it was like that I messaged her thanking her for the classes and whatever, and I said, or I asked her something about a pen name, because like I decided I have a pen name, and she was like, girl, if you have a pen name, you need to have a platform with your pen name. Like, what are you, like, she was polite. She wasn't rude to me, but she was like, what are you doing? I mean, you need your pen name. I was like, oh, okay, so that means I need to open a new account. Okay. But Joey was already there. And then I started like, so basically when Dal started as Dal, Joey was already there. So like then I understood that AuthorTube wasn't just like the big ones. It wasn't just Alexa Dawn. It wasn't just Jenna and just Vivian Reese and Kim Chan and Mandeline and like, all the big ones. And, and I misunderstood that these big AuthorTubers were already like established #1 bestsellers of the New York Times. I was so confused. So confused. And and I realized that, hey, maybe I can do it. And then I saw Joey doing it, and I was like, we can do this together. Let's just do it. And that's why I'm here.
I have some questions from Jacqueline. What the biggest challenges you've noticed in the publishing since you began? I was first published in 2005 via Vanity Press. There was nothing like indie publishing back then. It was, if you wanted to be published, you had to buy this big writer's handbook, and it came out every year with all the agents listed, and it was really expensive, and you had to get a new one every year. So yeah, I went for Vanity Press. I was talking to Dal about this before we went live. At the time, I was quite sick, like sicker than I am now, but not, if that makes sense. And there was a chance that I wasn't going to make it for much longer. So my parents and I sort of talked about how we could get a book out there, because that was one thing that I wanted to do more than anything. If I was going to make an impact, that was where I wanted to make an impact. So we went through the Vanity Press, and then basically I got better, and then basically KDP came about in 2011, and that's when I started publishing my other books. And the big change, I think, is there are just so many more indie authors, but I feel like the professional level has gone up. Like when it first came out, it was a case of anybody could slap a cover on a book and publish it, and they could do whatever, you could sell it whatever you want. And there were scams back then. There are still scams. I feel like the professional level that goes with being an indie author has gained since back then. I feel like more people aren't just sort of like throwing up books and saying, calling it done. They're actually making a career of this, and they're serious about it, and they're treating it like a business. And that's just a very, I think, important change that's happened. And yeah, it's been really weird to watch, because as it's happened, like 15 years is a long time, and I feel really old now. But as it's happened, it's sort of like you see you see the fluxes and the changes in the system. And I think the biggest change has to be that anybody can still upload a book to Amazon and sell it for however much they want to sell it. But whereas before indie publishing was kind of looked down the nose at, it still is in some circles. It's kind of like becoming its own thing alongside traditional publishing, which I think is a big step to take.
Yeah, I have heard some people saying that indie authors shouldn't be giving advice because you're an indie author, and like you're like it wasn't said in a way that it's like directly looking down on indie authors, but yeah, it was. It was like especially author tubers. I heard that giving writing advice on author tube is like it's trash, because like, who are you to give advice? I'm only going to take advice from a big author like a Neil Gaiman or Brandon Sanderson. And I'm like, I mean, okay, great, snob. Okay, snob. That was my thought.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, snob. I mean,
yeah,
I don't need to go to Brandon Sanderson for advice. I can find a talented author who just so happens to be self-published because agents are dicks. I said it. I'm raising my arms. Agents are dicks. And the author could be extremely talented and just not lucky and didn't get published and successful and #1 New York bestseller. And we all know that New York bestselling is curated. We all know it. It's fake. Everybody knows it. So it's like, it's a snobbish approach to look down on indie authors just because they are indie authors. I'm glad it's changing. There are still people who think this way, and people who want to be indie authors, and they think this way. Okay, okay, honey. I woke shady this morning.
And a question from Burrito Quiz: how is Twinge doing? It is now through the proofreading, so it's supposed to go out to ARCs on September 1st, but I've started sending them out, and so now it's just now the final 6 weeks into release. On the 13th, I formatted the paperback already. I formatted and uploaded all the files, all the rest. I just need to do the paperback cover. Someone else designs my covers, but I do the 2-page spread for the paperback. I do that myself. Someone else does all the design work, but I just put it all together. So it's doing really, really well. Brita Chris also says, I know that publisher list book and it's absolute brick. You are correct. It is. You could beat with it.
Who can I bid?
Jacqueline says, is marketing easy or hard for you? That really depends. It's both, really. I find it hard sometimes to talk and sometimes to know, like I'm learning, but I'm behind myself, if that makes sense, because I have had some success and I am still learning how to do new things as the market evolves and all the rest of it, still researching and making sure you're doing the right ads and stuff like that. Some parts of marketing are really easy for me. I started doing conventions, obviously, in the time before the plague. I started doing conventions, and those I really loved. I was really nervous, but when you put me in a room with people who are looking at your books and saying, I want to know what that's about, I can talk their ear off. And 99% of the time, they will walk away thinking, either having bought the book or having taken some information about the book. And that word of mouth then spread. And for like 2 years, when I was doing conventions often, I was doing really, really well through word of mouth, but also through getting noticed on my YouTube channel and Facebook and Twitter and the like. I still class myself as a very small fish, but marketing side of things, some things I find easy and some things I find very, very difficult. I have readers that I can easily find. I have ARC readers that I can easily find. But then other bits and pieces like street teams, I don't have a street team, and I don't know. I reach people and like it hasn't ever worked for me. But other parts of the process I find really easy, and some I just don't. Burrito Chris has said, imagine being so dumb as to refuse advice from people who are willing to give it to you in an accessible format.
It can happen. It's a sort of the lingering states of the stigma of being an indie author.
Yeah. There are some sort of like traditionally published authors I've seen say on like Twitter that in their eyes, indie publishing is small press. And that's what I guess it used to be, and it still is. Small press is still considered indie. It's also considered traditional. But I personally see independent author as another word for self-published. But it depends on who you ask. And like some people will see it as, like you said, Joe, some people will see it as, oh, that's lesser than traditional. But other people, like, I mean, you look at Jenna Morrissey, she is indie pub all the way, and yet she's very, very successful at what she does. And
she's a one-woman show, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, she has her editors, and she might have like a social media manager, but I mean, she's just Jenna. It's just her.
Yeah,
honestly,
she's doing what she loves.
Her.
Yeah, she's doing what she loves, doing it well. And there are others that are just as successful in other areas of the internet. And you look at them and you think, okay, that you put the books side by side, and you couldn't necessarily tell if traditional one was indie. It used to be, like I said, with the things that changed, it used to be that you could tell a self-published book easily because it there was no anything like that, so it was very easy to tell the difference. But now it's really kind of hard to tell the difference unless you know the author and know the making. You can hazard a guess, but you won't always be right. And Jacqueline says, do you ever reread your earlier work and have to try very hard to stop yourself from rewriting it? I have reread Blackout was my debut novel. I have reread that, and there are parts of it that I wish I could rewrite because obviously I've grown as a writer a hell of a lot since then. But I'm one of these people that there are some authors who will, there's something wrong with it, who will take books down and then re-release them. I'm not one of them. I kind of have the belief that once you've pressed publish, unless it's something like you've uploaded the wrong file or something like that, you shouldn't rewrite it and then re-release it. It's done. Because if you keep going round in that circle, you will be stuck in that circle and you will keep going round and round and round rewriting it. But it's like, people have asked me like if I wanted to rewrite one of the Dying Thoughts books, and it's like, yes, sometimes I reread the first 2-3 books. I'm thinking I could write these so much better now.
Oh yeah, we have talked about it.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, it's
don't
out there, it's done.
see it. I don't see the problem that you saw with one of the books, for example.
Yeah.
I didn't see that problem. It just happens to be a thing. So
Yeah.
but as it's just what you said. You have grown as an author. So like if you repeat a character archetype now, it will be different. Of course it will. It will be better. Yeah, because you have grown, but that doesn't mean that you have to like hide your early beginnings, like your early days under the rug. There's no need for that. You're growing as an author.
Yeah, exactly. And the dawdling writer has just turned up with congratulations, Joey Woot. Hi.
Hi, Jules.
And I think that's a big thing, is that as you write, you will get better. Like the whole thing is about, as you write, the more it's because it's practice. That's what it is. It's practice. The more you practice, the more you should get to the point where you're better at it. And I think it's really important that, like, even those, like, there are some books that I've written that will never see the light of day, and even though they're completed and all the rest of it, they were still books that I wrote and that I know that they're not good enough, and I know that even if I rewrote, the idea just doesn't hold. It just doesn't. It just wouldn't. Even if I kept writing it and rewriting it and rewriting it, it's not good enough. So it's just not going to happen. But yeah, I think it's so easy to get stuck in that trap of thinking or trying to rewrite things, and I don't have time for that.
No. It's rewrite it before you publish. When you publish is because you felt at the time that you were ready.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong. Like if you put your effort, and Joey definitely does. But like if you put in the effort and you plan your work or you outline it afterwards, like if you make the effort of deliberate practice, and if you like, if it's not just drafting for the sake of drafting something and not caring how it comes out or something, because Joey cares. And Joey has learned with every book, and that's how it should be. Like we learn with every new story, we learn a new thing, and the knowledge accumulates. So
Yeah.
the research that you've done, the people that you might have interviewed, all that knowledge that you required for one story will accumulate for the next and the next and the next. You might not always use the same information, but it just grows. It grows and grows with you. So I absolutely agree that what I am going to publish soon is a beginning, and it's already better than my debut.
Yeah. That's how it works. Jacqueline said, you see it as more of a record of your progress as a writer. Yes, I do. I very much do. I see it as, I have stuff on top of my bookshelf that has bookends. I think you've probably seen the picture of all my books in paperback, and just looking at them, I can see that I've come so far. And if I was to sit down and reread, I know that I'd pick out things and think, I wouldn't do it like that this time round. But it's progress. It's all progress. So we have Estelle here as well. Hi, Joey and Dal. Congrats again on your 500 subscribers. Thank you. And Tanya has said, today I'm doing my first ever plotting because I have no choice. Lol.
What do you mean? What
do you mean by that?
Whoa,
who's holding a gun to your head? You don't have to plot.
That sounds cruel.
Yeah.
Unless wait, and I plot, and that sounds cruel. It really does. Yeah. What are you? Is it for school? Is it for school, Tanya? Is it like creative writing school? What is this, homework?
I've tried to plot. I do plot in some ways, like have a chapter plan, and it's like however many chapters, it's like a couple of words. I have the timeline just because that way I can keep the days straight. And that's it. I have my character note cards, I have my chapter plan, and that's my plan. And it's not unusual for me to get to like chapter 5 and think, I've changed my mind. I'm going to go in this direction instead. And then I'll find that like 10 chapters later, I'm back on track. I don't know how it works. It's magic.
A wizard did it.
Estelle has said, agree with Tanya, it's hard to plot when you're a pantser. And then Tanya has said, the character stories intertwine and connect in book 5. Right, so I missed one, sorry. She's writing book 5 in a series which ties 4 previous stories together. That makes sense. So like more of a story Bible than having.
I think it's more, I think it's more a story Bible than, but like she has to look into the previous books and tie it all. So I see why you need an outline. I see. It's hard. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And it's gonna be very difficult, but like don't be hard on yourself if it's the first time that you're plotting. Because it's difficult, especially if you're a pantser. So like you're doing fantastic, just keep at it, keep going. And if you ever need help, like if you want people to like people of trust, of course, like critique partners to check on the outline, or you yourself, you can find some plot holes. Be patient, Tanya, be patient with yourself and your story, and you will do great.
Yeah. I remember writing Dying Thoughts. I didn't have to link all the books together because I didn't have an over-series arch. I did, but I didn't. Like, I knew that she would eventually end up, I'm not going to tell you where she ends up because that's the spoiler. I knew where she was going to eventually end up, but I didn't know how I was going to get there. And then when I got there, it was like, boom, done. But with Light Sail, I wrote.
I saw the cover for the last book in the series. I'm not psychologically ready for that. Just by the cover, I'm like, nope. I'm not psychologically ready. Especially how the character looks in the cover. I'm like, this is too much. This is too much. No.
Tanya has said, thank you. Any tips are welcome.
Tanya, if you're writing multi-POV, for example, because I don't know if you're writing multiple POV, but maybe even if you don't write multi-POV, I can give you one tip, which is color coding. So color code whatever ribbon that belongs to the first book, the second, the third, the fourth. So plot lines that come from different books in the series, put a different color to it. So you can like structure the outline in a more balanced way. So you don't have all the book 1 plot lines tied at the beginning, and then book 4 and then book 2. Like just balance it out a little bit in a coherent way. But like having it color coded will help you to like see the balance of the final book. So it's like a waltz kind of thing. So color coding would help you. So it's not just like a blank document with black letters and you don't like, you lose yourself in just this big document. You will have some colors to guide you.
Yeah, that's really good advice. She said it's multiple POV in first person and also that's great. Thank you.
You do have multi-POV and 4 books. Okay. What you can do then is say you have 2 POVs or 3, 2 or 3. Then choose colors that have like different shades. So you can balance out the 4 different shades of the same color for the 4 books. So you know where each POV is coming from. So now that I know that you also have multi-POV, another thing that you can do is in another document have like a review of your 4 books and have like a character arc from those 4 books and see what the 5th is gonna do for them. So combine that with the color coding and you have like a potent blueprint for having an amazing end of the series. I hope so.
Yeah. So Adra has asked, when you're having a bad day, is writing and editing a chore and an escape? It's always for me. I generally speaking, even if my day is really, really terrible, like pain-wise or symptom-wise, I will always want to write because drafting is it's unless like a really terrible day, like I'm in hospital or something, then I want to write because it's nice to live in that world for a bit. Editing, I really struggle with editing, and because of the way me and my editor work, we go through chapter by chapter, and I used to do a chapter a day over 3 months. So every day is like, oh, I have to get this done, otherwise we're going to get behind.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a really struggle with that during the months that we're doing that, just because whether I'm feeling well or not, editing is not a fun thing for me anyway. So it becomes kind of like a chore where I have to put my best foot forward and make sure that I'm got my right thinking cap on. Last year when I did Nano and I wrote 82,000 words in a month, because I'm crazy like that sometimes. I was burned out by December 1st, and then I still had 2 more months of developmental edits to get through. And it was like, I can't be completely burnt out because I have all these edits to get through. And I can't just say, we won't do the edits because it's my deadline and I've already done all the planning and the marketing and all the rest of it. So I can't let myself down. And that was really difficult because editing became this thing that made me anxious in the mornings because down. So she would edit last thing at night. I'd get up early in the morning and do my edits, and then we'd go through them together on Skype or over text or whatever. And it just became very much a chore. But writing and drafting has always been an escape for me. And I think it always will be, unless, because I don't generally get writer's block anymore. I know that some pantsers do, and I don't know whether it's just like the practice or the fact that
some plotters do.
Yeah. I know
we all do.
I know some authors do, and I did early on in my career research get it quite often. I remember once I used to have a beta reader who would read every 2 chapters as I wrote them, first draft. This was very early on in my career. It was the first Dying Thoughts book. And there is a point in the book where the main characters are in a situation where it seems like there's no escape. And I was writing that and thinking, I'm going to get this done. And then I went, wait, how do they escape? I sent it off to my beta reader, and then I thought, I'll get back to that eventually. Anyway, fast forward 6 months, I flew to the States to see a friend. One of my beta readers lived there. We drove up to see her. First thing she says to me, how does Tara get out of that mess? And I'm like, I don't know. And she's like, we'll find out. And so I went back to the hotel. I phoned England. I got B to email me over the documents so that I could get it on my laptop in the States. And then I started writing. So yeah, I've had writer's block. And, when I finally wrote it, I was like, oh, that was so obvious. Like, I can't believe it took me 6 months to work that one out. But yeah, it does happen.
No, but it does happen like that. And Tanya, you're welcome. I hope that helps you. If it doesn't, it is not your fault. Maybe you just have a completely different process and you have to find it out. It was just like, it's not how it should be done. It is just like something that I would use personally, and I hope it might help you. But if it doesn't, please don't be hard on yourself because it's not your fault. It's just you have a different process and a different way to approach your series.
She has said, thank you, Dal. So
yes,
it sounds like it's hit the mark.
Hopefully it works. I genuinely just want to help because being visually impaired means I need to be more organized with my stories. I'm a perfectionist. Not only the visual impairment, I'm a perfectionist. It's a defect. I have it. And I know that I will have errors because visually impaired and second language. So there will be mistakes. There will be. But if I can plan it out so there are less mistakes than if I don't, let's plan it out. And I am very organized with my outline, and I do color coding because I write dual POV. So I have it
Yeah.
like I have it like purple, green, purple, green, purple, black, green, purple, green, green. So it's like a balance of, who has more page time, or they have equal page time, but I balance out their chapters. You saw that when Joey has better read my book. She has seen my book. She knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I
Yeah.
organized
I
that
do.
before I organized it before drafting it. So
And it's I have like I do it with sort of like I balance out the chapters because like Lights Out, Lights On has main POV, but there are a few chapters told from other points of view. And I balance that in my plan as well, so that happen in the background, but also makes. But I've done POV through a book, and I've done it's either every other chapter or there's 2 chapters from one. I think my funny.
no, I think it's maybe me. Am I lagging? Oh no. Uh-oh. Are we lagging? Oh no. Uh-oh. Hang on. No. Oh no, Joey, don't leave me. No. Oh no, Joey, don't leave me. No. No, 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 no. Well, I mean, okay, now that she left. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Oh my god, Joey, come back. She will come back. It's her internet just got messy, and because I am a co-host, I cannot stop the show. So we are here. Oh no. Don't leave me. Ah, she will come back. Internet had issues over there. Oh, come on, English Wi Fi. Oh, come on, English Wi Fi. Yeah, this is not the first time I hear English Wi Fi, so that's why I can complain even though I'm not in England, because I'm familiar with this problem. There's a question for Joey when she comes back. I cannot click it because I'm a co host, but she will come back and she will answer the question. Jacqueline, oh my God, this is hilarious. This has happened to me as a host. So this is common. Um, Sometimes we just have internet issues and the co-host is here like, hey, let's cover it up. It happened with Cat Bowser once that I was hosting with her, and my internet was a troll, and Cat stayed alone for a few minutes. That was fun. She handled it better than me. She was quiet, just looking at the camera, and I'm here like, Joey, don't leave me. Don't leave me. Mm-hmm. She will come back at some point. Joey. This is hilarious. Oh, well, I found her on Twitter. So the question is what attracted me to watch Joey's videos. I found her on Twitter, and we were friends because like we liked each other's concept for books. And then I started watching her YouTube videos, and she not only talked about like her writing process, but I mean, she also made a video that was quite mandatory because every person with a disability has like the mandatory thing to explain themselves because hey, because life is real, because of reality. You have to explain what's going on, how it affects your writing. And I'm not using the word inspirational because no, that's not what I mean. It means I was not alone in my attempts of becoming a writer, because Joey was already a published author and she was already there. And I felt a lot less lonely when I saw that. I felt that I was not out of place trying to do what I was trying to do. And so like it was great company just to know that Joey exists. And then I saw her books, and that's it. That's it. She's my friend. I am friends with somebody, and then I see their book, and if I love the book, the friendship just intensifies like amazingly. So that's why I was very. I felt like I found. I'm a walking book trope. I am the found family trope. That's what I am. I find my family everywhere, and I consider Joey like a writer family, since she has been there since before I even started this whole YouTube thing. So like if anyone ever messes with Joey, I'm coming for you. That I'm just saying it right here. She's not here, but she will hear it anyway. She can hear all that I say in the replay, so I mean it. Like Joey is my friend, and professionally speaking, yes, we are like writer colleagues, whatever, but it has become more than just that. So she's I look up to her. I want to be like her. When when years go by, when I get published more, when I get more things published, I want to be like Joey. I genuinely, it's someone I admire very much. So that's why I have the silly thing that I call her the Agatha Christie of our times. It's not because of comparison. It's a compliment, because she's a prolific mystery writer who writes diversely, and so that's what I mean. It's never a comparison. Joey is just Joey, but that's what I mean by the compliment. Let's see more questions. And the neighbor's dog. I have my own co-host over there. Oh, Tanya, yeah, that is true, Tanya. Nice to meet you. I am a partially blind alien. I'm not an alien. It's all marketing. It's branding. I market myself like I'm a partially blind alien. I'm from Andromeda, and I'm an author. And Joe is back. Yay! I don't have to talk about myself.
Sorry, my internet is like the oldie internet. So like
English
it
Wi-Fi.
decided that it didn't
English
exist.
English Wi-Fi. I have seen this before, not with Joey, but with someone else, with another bro. My bro is like freaking English Wi-Fi. I'm like, yes, I know.
Yeah, it is. It is like that. I am so sorry, people. So let me get some of these questions. What do you find the most satisfying about being an indie author, and what is the hardest? That's from Jacqueline. I think most satisfying is the control. Like I have complete control over everything. I can decide when my book is released. I can decide what formats it's released within reason. I can decide, what kind of cover it has. I can decide how I go about approaching people, what kind of marketing, the blurb, and all the rest of it. And the hardest is along the same lines, because everything is my choice. That's a lot of pressure. I love that I have that choice, and I love that I can do it that way. But it's very hard sometimes when you're struggling and you don't have anybody else to ask. And it's difficult. But it's satisfying at the same time. It's great to be able to. It's great to be able to say I made this and I did it on my own. There's editors and there's cover designers and stuff like that, but it's me that did this. So that's satisfying as well. And Jacqueline also said, are you asking too many questions? No, you're fine.
No, you're fine. That's what this stream is for. You're here to ask all the questions.
And Nikki Haverstock dropped by just to say hi. We're about to have a family day, so I can't stay long. Tanya was saying, I also have a disability, neurological disorder. I find Joey inspiring as well. I'm guessing you were talking about that while I was gone.
I didn't say inspiring, but I said I feel less lonely.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like seeing you here is like, my God, this is so relatable. I can do this, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Adra's, as a fellow disabled writer with other chronic illnesses, I agree. I was very happy to find her in her videos. We're not alone. It's very true. It was one thing that I know there are other disabled author tubers, and I guess my issue wasn't that they weren't there, is they are there, but they're not visibly disabled, whereas I am and I'm not. Like the oxygen, you can see that, but you don't know that I'm sitting in a wheelchair. Like you don't know that just looking at me, because most people are sitting in something when they're filming. But it's...
These are my eyes. My eyes are what they are.
Yeah.
Not very pretty. Hi. I mean, I'm okay with them. I don't have a problem with my eyes. It's not that I have an issue. It's just that they are what they are. You can see they are kind of unusual.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's me. That's the alien. And so back to me. Back to my. I have. I made it all a brand, not because I don't want to show my disability, because I talk about blindness to death, and
Yeah.
I have been very specific that I am not the voice of the blind community, because I am not. Dude, my condition is so freaking rare. My eyes show that my condition is so damn rare that, like, when I meet an ophthalmologist, you know, like an eye doctor, when I meet an eye doctor in real life, dude, they get flabbergasted. It's like, oh my God, can I take a picture of your eye? Is that offensive? I'm like, no, I understand why you would do it, because it's your job. And they say, no, girl, I'm so sorry for that. Like, I don't want you to think. I'm like, no, I get it. Because you're not the first ophthalmologist that tells me this. They have only seen it in textbooks.
Yeah, I get
it's
that with
that rare.
I get that with respiratory doctors when because my lung condition and like my asthma isn't rare. The type of asthma that I have is rare. And so I get that with doctors sort of like asking, you know, oh, and how long has this been going on? And it's just like, you get used to that from doctors. It's when it comes from complete strangers on the street that it's slightly different.
Yeah, well, complete strangers on the street don't have a reason to take a picture of my eyes. Eye doctors do, because that's their job. That's what they see every day.
Yeah.
And like, I was working as a volunteer translator because I speak 2 languages. Tanya wanted to know a little bit more about me, so I'm gonna give you bits and pieces, and later you can message me and we can talk. You can get to know me, I can get to know you, for sure. But like, I was working as a volunteer translator, and we had some medical it's called medical brigades. So like, we go to some impoverished communities, or communities that are more remote, and we go and attend them with volunteers. The thing is that volunteers come from other countries, and then English is like lingua franca, and so they need translators, because a lot of people don't speak Spanish is the other language I was translating. I'm in Argentina, by the way. Hello. So like, I had to translate between the volunteers and the local doctors. And I met an eye doctor there, because there were some eyesight tests, you know, the basic eyesight tests to see if people needed glasses and that kind of stuff. The eyesight doctor and I became really good friends, just because I have a rare condition and I speak English and she didn't speak English. And, you know, it became a friendship right there. And she was asking me, like, by the 3rd day of the tour that we were doing, she wanted a picture. And I was like, oh, absolutely, no problem. And she said, it's so rare what you have. You have it in both eyes. You have not only, like, you have it in the retina and in the iris, and in both eyes. Like, do you see how rare that is? I was like, I do see it. It's like, it's the weirdest thing I have seen in my life. And you can still do so much. So she was genuinely inspired, and in that case I take it, because I know that it's coming from a person that has studied her entire life to treat eyesight. And and you're still doing so much, and you're here, and you translate, and like, and then I said I'm a writer, and she nearly fainted. But I mean, I am not the only one. And this is seeing Joey here and Adra. I will throw you in there. Tanya, you too. Everybody who's disabled, like, and writing. I see you. And I don't, it's, we, okay, because we know the love-hate relationship we have with the term inspiration. So I don't really use it that much, because it's not like an inspiration, it's more like reassurance
Yeah,
that we can do this. Like, look, Joey's doing it. I am trying to do it, and I'm soon getting some traction and publishing my second short story. And Adra is doing it. Tanya is doing it. Um, BC Brown is doing it.
yeah,
So many people that have a disability are doing it. I'm sorry that names are escaping me now. Um, Recently arrived Divided by Sight and the Blind Mage. They are doing it too. I
yeah,
mean, look at all the people who are disabled writers, and they are doing a fantastic job
yeah,
as
yeah,
writers. You know, so like it's a reassurance that this is a hiccup, it's a problem, it's a hindrance, because there's no need to hide it. It kind of is. Joey has Meepo days. Joey, when you have Meepo, it's like not that.
yeah. Meepo is just like I take the day off. Like
Mhm.
I have more than one day off a month anyway, but Meepo I don't count as a day off. It's just a day to feel like crap.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I don't get anything done those days.
That is a question that I have for you and for anyone else who has a similar thing in the chat. Someone who is very close and dear to me. I don't reveal my real life, so I'm not gonna go into details. But someone who is very close to me deals with extreme fibromyalgia, and what I mean by extreme is like every freaking symptom that you can have with fibromyalgia, this person has it, and
Yeah,
more. It's like it's one of the most extreme cases I have seen. And I see that this person is also very talented, extremely talented as a writer, has the gift of words,
yeah,
but this person also has extreme pain.
yeah,
And I have many times I have said the world would fall to their knees if you were a writer. Why aren't you doing it? And the answer is I just don't have the energy.
yeah,
And I feel that what I want to write about, it doesn't have a market. People don't want to read it. So like I see the demotivation because this person is an avid reader.
yeah,
Avid reads everything in every genre possible. What has this person not read? I don't know. But um and then I see the demotivation and the lack of energy. So I know that disabilities are real. It's we're not hiding it over here, even though I don't show my face. I mean, it's the internet. I don't
yeah,
show my face because we have
yeah,
trolls. It's just
yeah.
as simple as that. And instead of like being insecure about it, I just made a brand around it. I'm an alien. Hey. Yeah. So it's a reassurance to see you guys here. It's amazing that we are doing what we're doing. And like Joey, it's one of the OGs because she started. She was here before we were.
I guess for me, it was just like I was retired when I was 19. I was working a job and I was told that basically I would never work a conventional job again. So I was retired on medical grounds at 19. I collected my pension and I always get a kick, or I did when I was younger, of telling people when they asked what my occupation was, I'd tell them I was retired. They'd be a few seconds and they'd be like, wait, how old are you? Anyway, but I was retired then, and I've told this story before, but basically it was a case of either I do nothing with my life or I write a book. And even though writing a book is hard, even though it takes time, I'd had that idea for Blackout in the back of my head for so long that I just went, sod it, I'm writing the book. And I wrote a chapter a day. It was 10 chapters. It's no longer 10 chapters. It's been split up since then because my chapters were really, really long. But I wrote it in 10 days, simply because the idea had been there for so long that like it already formed everything. It was just brain vomiting onto the page, basically. And I didn't want to be 19 and have nothing to show for my life. And I was in and out of hospital. You could set your watch by my admissions. It used to be that every 2 weeks, pretty much on the dot, I would have a major attack and would end up in hospital and would stay a few days and then come home. And then 2 weeks later, we'd go through the same thing. But writing sort of like kept me grounded.
Mm-hmm.
It gave me something to do. It gave me a purpose. And even though I was new with the ME diagnosis and I was new with the fibromyalgia diagnosis, and I'd had all this pain, and I'd always had this pain to the point where I couldn't remember it ever not hurting. And because of that, it was really hard to sort of like work out when it all started. But having the writing and having that escape, like Adra said, drafting was that kind of escape.
Mm-hmm.
It kept me somewhat sane. I mean, I'm not completely sane. I do have depression. I do have anxiety.
Yeah.
But, I'm not, and I write some really dark fiction, people. So
I am not surprised that you write dark fiction. I'm not surprised at all, because like we as writers, we draw from experiences, not always, and not like autobiographic experiences, but we draw from experience. And you have gone through your own hell.
Yeah.
You still do, because you are in pain. And what you just said about like always feeling pain, this is what this person that I was talking about also feels.
Yeah.
Every day. Like, when is this person not in pain?
Yeah.
When? Because sometimes even when they sleep.
Yeah.
It's there's no escape from it.
Yeah.
And so like I always talk about Joey. I sent this person one of Joey's books. I sent Destination Unknown precisely because of Harry's mom.
Yeah.
With the fiber flares. I cried my heart out with that book. And this is funny. I was reading that book in a week where I was going from coffee shop to coffee shop because there was a problem in my house and I had no electricity for like a week. So Joey remembers. And I was reading Destination Unknown. There was no Wi-Fi at home. There was no light. It was all darkness. I only had the fully charged battery of my tablet from the coffee shops and Joey's book. That was what I had that week. And the story was so close to me in a way because of my close friend or whatever that has this fibro, and I was seeing that in Harry's mom, and I was Joey. That's a scene for a book. It's canon. Book 3 of my sci-fi. I don't care. Because when do you see electricity going out in a sci-fi that is not post-apocalyptic? I am throwing it in. It's canon.
I'm
sorry.
okay.
Sorry. Oh my god, so sorry. Yeah, Joey, careful, don't laugh too hard.
So Adra's saying, I've been working on my novel for almost 2 years. It's slow due to fatigue, but it's a positive outlet. It's worth it. To quote a certain wise person, it takes as long as it takes. I tell you what, I say this, and it's just like I have had people say it back to me, and it was, but I don't know the way I've explained that it was such a light bulb moment for me, because I was stressing over everything, and I was stressing about how I wasn't doing this and I wasn't doing that, and I hadn't met this target and I hadn't met this goal. And Kim just sat there and she just went, it takes as long as it takes, Joey. And I was like, whoa, stop the presses. What did you just say? And it hit me in such a way, and it was just perfect for the moment. And it's like, it's something that I've kept as much as I need to. It's become my mantra as such, I will get this done and it will take as long as it takes. And that's completely okay. Everyone has to work to their own speed. And like you said, it's completely worth it. It's a positive outlet. It's a way of expressing yourself, and it's worth it. It's worth that time, and it will take as long as it takes.
Yeah. I don't. I'm not diagnosed with any autoimmune disease. So I don't have a reason to be so fatigued, except for probably depression.
Yeah,
Maybe that's that. But I understand the feeling of being fatigued. I can, like, the problem is that I have like days where when I have a little bit more of energy, and then those days I work from sun to, like, from dawn to dusk, and even later, and I just go because today I feel alive, and I go, and it's like, and I realize it's midnight. I'm still not done. I'm still not done with whatever it is that I'm doing, but I'm go, and then when I cannot anymore, I collapse and I sleep. But then the fatigue could come back the next day, or or the day after. Sometimes I have like 2 days of energy, and then it's like I need recharge. It's like I'm an introvert too, so like I relate to what Audra just said.
Yeah. Tanya's saying, Joey, do you ever set yourself deadlines? If so, have you ever feel, wait, you're answering this already? So I'm guessing it had to do with not meeting those deadlines.
We are psychic over here.
Yeah, it's magic. It really is magic.
You actually wrote a clairvoyant character.
Yeah. I've written
Tara.
more than one, just not released more than one. I'm writing a because I don't know whether everybody else knows. Dal's read some of these books, so it's but Tara in the Dying Thoughts books, she has the ability to see the last moments of someone's life if she touches something that used to belong to them. So like it starts with basically her mum was killed, and when she touches something that used to belong to her mum, she sees those last moments of her mum's life play over in her head. So that was the first sort of like psychic character that I wrote. And I'll be honest, it took Kim coming to edit it and saying, because Tara had a line that said, "I'm not psychic," and Kim was like, "But she kind of is." And I'm like, "Is she?" And Kim was like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Oh, I stupid."
No, it's just not common in real life.
Yeah,
but I have heard stories of this kind of case, that people who touch something and they can perceive things. Actually, the Lockwood and Co. series by Jonathan Stroud has that element in there.
Yeah.
And then I saw Dying Thoughts, and I was like, I mean, I have Mr. Stroud, and I call him Mr. Stroud like out of pure respect. It's like Mr. Stroud, it's over there on a pedestal, and then there's the rest of the world. No, there's Joey on that pedestal. And I just love the way he writes. I wrote him a letter that I'm not going to share because it has my real name, and I'm not, but I wrote him a letter when I read the final books, or when I was about to read the final one. I don't know. I just gave him a letter because he was live on Facebook and he was answering questions, and my comment was a whole letter, a whole essay for Mr. Stroud, and he read it and he answered, and I was like, oh. And yeah, he has the element of like these children work with ghosts, they have to get rid of ghosts, because in this world that he created, if you get touched by a ghost, you also die.
Yeah,
it's like an infection, you die too. So they have to get rid, it's like a plague. So they gotta go to the houses and get rid of the ghost, and there's a thing that's called the source, which is the object that the soul is attached to. So like when these people touch a source, they can sense the soul of the person. You see the connection?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
It's dude, I read Dying Thoughts and I was like, I am the happiest person just to know that Joey exists and she's my friend. It's like I have a privilege here. She's my friend.
We got Diane Marie in the chat. Hello, lovely golden humans, just popping in to say hi and congratulations. Thank you, Diane.
Thank you, Diane. So good to see you. So I have a question. Like now, I know that you're writing more clairvoyance.
Yes.
I am also writing clairvoyance in my sci-fi. In my case, it's not magic. In my case, they have been genetically modified, and they have a way to like observe and predict
Yeah.
the near future. They don't, they cannot predict what's going to happen next year. They can
Yeah.
predict what's about to happen next week,
Yeah.
maybe. So like near future, the la 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 la. But it's like it's they have been genetically modified to be more in tune with nature or whatever the crap, and you know, and they are a lot more sensitive. So
Yeah.
that's the payoff. They are extremely sensitive. It's like people would say, oh yeah, they are the softy whiners of your book. No, they aren't, but they are extremely sensitive. So
Yeah.
like they gotta take care of themselves, because being a clairvoyant has a toll on their energy, on their mental health, on their everything.
Yeah.
Could have fatigue, could have a lot of things, could have burnout. So like, how do you go about developing the skills for your clairvoyant characters? Since I'm writing similar things but not the same, like how do you go about developing, how the thought process comes into it?
And the characters I'm thinking of most are in the Penny series, which I started last November.
Mm.
It's basically a world where psychics are born. They're not that common. I think it's 1 every 1,000 children is born psychic, and it's not always to psychic parents. But there's a whole sort of, there's lots of world building involved. It's more urban fantasy than paranormal mystery.
Mhm.
And so basically, like it depending on, there's laws and stuff, and like once you hit 17, you have to register and you have to give over every vision you have. And Penny has a vision that her best friend is going to die, and she wants to try and change the future. And as I'm sort of like weaving into the second book, because when I first started planning it, I thought it was just going to be one book. I now think it's going to be a trilogy or a quartet. But I went about with, I'd done Psychics with Tara, and I wanted it to be very different to that. But I wanted it to be unlike with Tara, where she was kind of like the one lucky one in, maybe some other people existed, she never really found out.
Mhm.
I wanted Penny to be part of a society that sort of like a culture that was built into the world. So there were people, other people like her. It wasn't seen as a big secret that she had to keep. It was something that was known and was talked about, and sometimes they were seen as slightly more than in society, upper class in society, because they had that psychic ability. And for them, I've limited, without going into plot points, I've limited sort of like how much they can see and what they're able to do.
Mhm.
And some of them have more enhanced abilities and the ability to like force the vision, because it's all about whether the universe wants you to see this thing. And if
Mhm.
it does, then you'll see it. But you can force the universe, but there are payoffs to that forcing. So, like for
Mhm.
Penny, she has EDS, and so as Ella's Danlos syndrome. So she is chronically ill anyway. And so while somebody who is normally healthy would have a smaller payoff, for Penny, forcing a vision means you're going to pass out and you're going to be stuck in bed for 3 days because
Mhm.
your body is going, no, I do not want to do that again. Um,
Mhm.
and so, yeah, that was how I developed it. It was basically, I took what I had with Tara and I thought, I want to do this, but I want to do it completely differently and have a different kind of like system around it.
And there you go again, how you incorporate disability into the mix. And it's so natural. It just is, you know.
Yeah.
It's just what it's not like. This is something I love about your books. Again, I'm not just throwing feathers at her. Like I'm genuinely, I have read the books and this is why I love it. It's natural. It is what it is. And like it is a part of the experience of being a disabled writer that I'm not saying that others cannot share, because if they do their diligence and they interview Joey, they can come up with something fantastic too. So I'm not saying that only Joey can do it. No, but I'm saying that it comes natural to her.
Yeah. My first book, because my first visibly disabled character was in Lynn and Hope. Lynn
Mhm.
was in, not Lynn, Hope was in a wheelchair
Hope
from
is
the
in a
age of 5.
wheelchair. Yeah.
Yeah. But my first disabled character was actually in my debut novel. It was Blackout, and it was a character that had the same lung condition that I have. And it was just, it happened because I needed a reason for her to be seen as weaker. And having gone through the school system in the similar kind of way, and been treated a similar kind of way, I was just like, yeah, giving her this is going to make people see her as, I wanted a reason for her to be behind with classes because she was missing it for hospital stays and stuff like that. And that was my school years. I went from being top set in everything in like year 8 to being pretty much bottom set in year 9 because I missed so much school because I was just in hospital so much. And so like for me, growing up, I never really sort of like saw myself as disabled until I needed a wheelchair, because in my mind, disability meant wheelchair or mobility device. And it was only really when I got sick with the ME and fibromyalgia that I realized that, yeah, I am disabled, but I'd been disabled my whole life. My parents had never sort of put that name to it, and I'd never put that name to it. And people had the same reaction that they have these days, which is, but you have asthma, so do so many millions of other people, and they're not disabled. And it's like, these things happen in different ways. My B has asthma. It's not severe. Mine is very severe. And there is a violet on screen. I apologize for any brushing against the mic. I cannot control her tail.
Sorry, pet sitter, bad habits. I talk to the cats. Hello, Violet. Hello. I love Joey's cats. Whenever Joey sends me cat pictures, it's the happiest. He's like, cat pictures! And yeah, I have garden cats, so I also send her some garden cat pictures sometimes. Oh, there you are. It's tail time.
Yes.
Once upon a tail.
She's just deciding where to sit, and when she sits down, she'll settle for a while. But yeah. She does like to do this while I'm recording videos, and occasionally I have to cut out big long purrs against the mic.
Yeah, it's like Joey's talking like, yeah, when I'm working on this draft.
I remember Miss Penn when she Violet, don't love the mic. I remember Miss Penn when she used to sit on my shoulder, and like when she first started doing it, I was like, you need to get down, and she was like, no, I do not need to get down. I live here now. And
so you're gonna just film with Penn. I remember those videos. It was like,
yeah,
just excuse Miss Penn. Just excuse Miss Penn.
Just ignore Miss Penn. She's up there. She won't get down. So yeah. I remember the day she passed on. She came downstairs and she was like, she was not well. She was really very poorly, and she jumped up on the desk and she jumped up on my shoulder and she settled into purr, and I was just like, okay, this is the last time this is going to happen, and she wants it, and it was her way of just being, okay, I'm going to be okay, and you're going to be okay. So
the cats are they communicate in their own ways.
Yeah,
and we learn to read it, how they express themselves individually. That was a hard loss. That was hard.
That was it. It was a very hard loss. Yeah.
So interesting. Yeah, EDS representation.
Yeah, EDS representation. I will be asking for sensitivity readers, and I'm looking at you, Adra. And Tanya's saying, I'm sorry, my phone is almost dead. I have to go. Congrats again, Jerry. Nice to meet you, Dal. Thank you for coming, Tanya.
Thank you for coming. Yeah, so we are looking at you. Oh yeah, we were talking about that sensitivity readers because like same. I have a thing in the back burner for whenever I finish my sci-fi. Because whenever that is, I don't know. It's gonna take as long as it takes. But I have a thing in the back burner for a fantasy. At some point, I want to write disabled Valkyries.
Yeah.
But I already have the blind girls, like the blind Valkyries, kind of in check because I know what I'm gonna do with them. Because like research.
Yeah.
And they are different kinds of blindness. So like I have that sorted. And I always keep an eye, like keep contact with the blind community. So like I hear the different aspects of different types of blindness from blind friends. So
yeah.
So I have that sorted. But then There's one who has autoimmune diseases. I will go with severe fibromyalgia because of the close person whatever. I inspired it on that person.
Yeah.
There will be one of my characters, Christ, Valkyrie names. So Christ is on a wheelchair. I have, I feel pain. Yeah, I feel fatigue and pain and muscle pain because I don't even know what I have anymore, but could be depression. I don't know what it's like to be in a wheelchair. And there are psychological aspects to
Yeah.
it that
There
so
are.
I need to talk to Joey, and I need to talk to, like whenever I'm writing the deaf Valkyrie's story, I need to interview like BC Brown and other people who have hard of hearing. I
Yeah.
might reach out, talk to them, how it goes, because being deaf is one of my biggest fears because I rely on music so much
Yeah.
that it's the opposite of blindness, in a way, because it's the other sense that you would complement with if you're blind, and
Yeah.
they would complement with their eyesight when they are deaf, so
Yeah.
they are more visual. um but I don't know it. I don't walk in their shoes, so it's like I
Yeah.
need to talk to them. We don't know all the disabilities. We could probably make it so natural to just like, there is another disabled character who's in the story and it could come naturally, that we didn't force it. It's
Yeah.
just there. But still, I prefer, because I genuinely care a lot, like a big of a deal. I care that my characters are very well represented and I am making justice for that specific character at the very least.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
applies to everything, not just disabilities. Like, she's not here at the moment, but big shout out to Orla Hart, because finally an Irish author tuber, and I'm like, yay, finally! And I wrote a story. You read it, Joey. You read my short story with the Romans.
Yeah.
They are Irish,
Yeah.
and I was like, I am I making it justice? And when I sent that thing to Orla, I was panicking for a while. She liked it though. She liked it though. We talked about it. I got very good feedback. I did my homework. It's okay. I did my homework pretty well, and so it shows. I see that in Joey too. I remember you're in some of the Facebook groups for like fact checking.
Yeah.
So you are in, and I guess you're in several. I guess you are like in a couple of groups where you can fact check
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
things, and like I see the effort that you put into your work, and this is why I do it too, because I care, and I have a role model over here, and I just think it, to me at least, it is the way to go, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Jacqueline's got to go. She's saying, did my live stream, then came on here, so I need to move off this chair now. Lol, work doesn't do itself. Oh, thank you for coming, Jacqueline.
Jacqueline, yeah, Jackie has to move. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's been sitting for a while, and I totally understand. Thank
I
you
do.
so
Yeah.
much. Thank you, Jackie,
Thank
for
you for coming.
joining us.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, like fact checking. I mean, there's a scene in Lights On, which is the second in the Lights Out trilogy,
Mhm.
and I knew enough of the medical stuff because I've been in and out of hospitals all my life. I have a very good medical team, and we're kind of like on first name basis. So if he's not busy or if they're not busy, I can sort of run it by them and sort of go, "Hey, I want to do this to someone. Just want to be clear, it's not a real person." So what would happen if I did X, Y, Z? And they were like, okay. Or you. So anyway, for some reason, I went to the Fat Geeks Facebook group and I was asking them, and I had two opposing views. One was saying, if you do that, they will die. No matter what you do, they will drop dead, and that's it. And I'm like, well, that sucks because it's the main character, and I don't want them to die. And another person was like, hang on a minute, let me do some research and get back to you. And I ended up going with the second person because they not just brought all this research, but we talked it over and over and over. And it was, for a part of it that wasn't really, it wasn't a major plot point, but it was just something that I wanted to get right. And I love those kind of groups because the one I was using, they had this list of who is specialized in what. So you can tag the right person in your post. So like I'm on there for like disability and chronic illness stuff.
I have never been in the list.
Yeah, there is a
Oh,
list in the notes and stuff. There's a list of like, and you can add yourself to certain things. Like I'm in disability, some health stuff. I did mention that some of it I'm not qualified, but I've got a lot of experience with it. So,
languages. I would be there
yeah,
for visual impairments,
yeah,
languages,
yeah,
living abroad, like cultural differences,
yeah, exactly.
that kind of stuff. I would do that because or music, yeah,
Yeah,
musicians and that kind of thing. Because like I used to be a musician, so I know the gig, I know how that goes.
yeah. It's
Uh,
like even if you don't like have a degree in it or whatever, if you've got the experience and you
mhm,
know enough to know where to look to get the right information,
mhm.
then it's you can pull those resources. And you maybe I've seen it happen in AuthorTubers, the Facebook group. People will sort of say, "Hey, I'm writing this. What happened? Does anyone have any advice or something?" And it's great because I was watching a video today. Someone was sort of saying, Google is kind of like skewed to what you normally search for.
Mhm.
So, like, if you normally search for this side of the things, if you're suddenly searching for something else on the
Yes.
other side, you can get confirmation bias.
Yes.
Um, and so, like, because,
I watched that video. I know
yeah, so
what.
like Google is not just this major, you can't just do your research on Google, you have to go other places. So, having
No.
this pool of resources just makes it so, so much easier to get
In
things
the
done.
video, this girl mentions that the actual research proper happens in university database, and I,
Yeah,
being part of a Hungarian university, I know this is true
yeah,
because
yeah,
all the scientific papers for psychology were there.
yeah,
Some of them were on Google Scholar, some, but also some of them had a paywall,
yeah.
even
Well,
even on Google Scholar. So like you can go to the Scholar section, and because it exists, but if it's a lot easier if you're with a university, so like they cover the paywall. So
yeah,
being a student there gives you access to a hidden database that normal Google search is not going to give you. Confirmation bias is something that we studied in social psychology because we were going to do some social psychology experiments and research.
yeah.
So confirmation. Whoa! Since when did I have this knowledge? Yeah. So I do have some background. I don't have a degree though because life happened and disability happened, and I didn't have proper assistance, and I couldn't finish before my finances ran out. That's what
Yeah.
happened. So
When I was doing my degree with the OU, Open University, I had access to, even though my degree was in health and social care, I had access to basically the whole of their library on their databases on every
mhm,
study that I could look at whatever I wanted. I
mhm.
still think I can get access to some of it as an alumni, but it's that's where the information is.
Yeah, I think I could also access a few things here and there for like psychology stuff, but I'm not sure. I would have to send an email and ask. But like for example, when it comes to like cultural things,
Yeah, she wants to go outside. Give me 1 second. I just have to wheel over to the wheelchair to the window and let her out.
okay, she's okay.
Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow.
There we go. And now the
Yeah,
cat is not whining in my ear.
happy cat. It's a happy cat. So yeah, it's like when it comes to like researching different cultures, because like I think I have a specialty on that one
Yeah,
because I'm a crazy ass me, and I like to throw different languages even if I don't speak the language, because like I don't want people to think I'm a freaking polyglot when I'm not.
yeah,
No. But I have a thing for my characters. That sometimes it's necessary that they say something in their language because reasons, there are important reasons to that. um and I was like, okay, I need to check my facts because I don't speak this language and I don't want to be disrespectful. And
yeah,
so my friends in Iceland are a bit tired of me.
yeah.
um I have my dad for checking my Finnish grammar because he teaches me Finnish. So like I have I have a direct connection to Finland. So I want, if I want to write all the Finnish characters, I already have permission, but I'm adopted, I guess. For Hungarian characters, I have my friends in Hungary. So like there are some places where I have a lot more easy access
Yeah.
than others. Like for example, if I wanted to write someone from who speaks Kurdish, for example, I have no idea who am I going to go to for Kurdish. So
Yeah.
I stay away from certain cultures and certain places, not because I am discriminating. It's just like at the moment I don't have access to it, especially if it's a culture with an alphabet that I'm not
Yeah.
familiar with. That's rough. The only two alphabets that are not Latin, like Latin based alphabets, that I can handle would be Russian, the Cyrillic, and
Yeah.
therefore all the Pan-Slavic languages that use the Cyrillic, so Bulgarian, Macedonian, Serbian, Belarusian. I can read those
Yeah.
slowly, as like really slowly, but I know Cyrillics. And Georgian. Yes, I know what Georgian. Yeah, that what I just love their culture very much. I made Georgian friends, and when I made the friends, this is the fun part, and this is why I'm talking about it. That like one of the research methods for a poor person that doesn't have the database of a university would be to just actually talk to people
Yeah.
and get to know them, their life, their culture, especially for cultural research. The best you can do is not Google; it's actually talk to people.
Yeah.
They will tell you things how they go in their country, in their culture, specifically different classes, different people, different depending on where you go, where you study, where you live. They will tell you all that history, traditions, etc. So like I did my own research on Georgia, but when I met the Georgian friends I met was incredible because like they were like, where have you been researching? I was like, well, some things I have learned on documentaries, on videos, through your music, through your culture. Like I went to this restaurant, everything started at a restaurant, and then I started reading more, and some other things I just made them up in my mind because
Yeah.
of when you get deep into a culture, you already have, at least I do, I don't know, it comes natural to me. I get some understanding of certain things that could be possible, and
Yeah.
sometimes I'm right and sometimes I'm not right, so it's always good to fact check. But I remember when my friend said, do you know that this is very possible? And I was like, I made it up, I don't know. And she's like, oh, so it's a specific thing, that it's a dance. Georgian dances are based on legend and tradition. So
Okay.
yeah, it's a story through dance. That's so they tell their legends through their movements. And so one of my, Georgina, she
Yeah.
in the second book, she is rehearsing her thing. Tibor is there. That's why I'm narrating it, because he sees the whole thing. He has no idea what's going on. The poor thing. But then she explains that their dances are from traditions, and she made a sort of script of her dance, and so she tells the story of what the dance is about. And when my Jordan friend read that, and I said, that part is made up, please tell me if this is not right,
Yeah.
please. And she said, this is very possible. I was like, I was about to flip, but so like this is what I meant earlier with the accumulated knowledge. It
Yeah.
grows. Like the more you learn, the more things are going to come natural to you. It doesn't mean that's going to become easier. It's just that you're going to learn other things, new things, but knowledge accumulates.
It
So
does. Yeah.
it's a matter of being patient. And Joey, you have been here since 15 years ago publishing. Like, you have 15 years of experience, while I just have like a year of being officially an author because I got published on July of 2019. And I would
Be-
say I have 3 years of experience of writing. That's what I have.
Yeah. You've got to start somewhere though. Everyone has to start somewhere. And I feel like everybody somewhat starts on the same level. Yeah, yes, there are some people who are more naturally gifted than others. They're
Mhm.
always that's the truth in any kind of creative pursuit. And otherwise, really, there's always going to be some people who are more naturally gifted to it. Like
Nothing wrong
languages.
with that. Nothing wrong with that.
like languages. I personally suck at learning languages, but you have a natural affinity for it, so it comes somewhat easier for you. But with writing, I feel like most of us start on a similar sort of level, and like we said earlier, the more you write, the more you go into making these stories, the more you plot or outline, or you go this way or that way, the more you create characters and all of that, the more you learn, and that builds on itself, and then you suddenly get to the point where I don't think you ever kind of like reach a ceiling. Like sometimes there are places there with some creative pursuits, there is a ceiling, and once you hit that, you won't go any further. Like no matter how much effort you put into it, you just won't. That's where your limit is. But I don't think it is like that with writing, because it's always evolving. The way you're telling stories, like when I first wrote, it changes. When I first wrote Blackout, I was very much a telly person. One of the mistakes I made was one of the first things I did in one of the first chapters was introduce all her friends with all their descriptions and bits and pieces about them. And that was like, and I know, and it was published like that because that was, the editor didn't knock me on that. So it was published like that. And I look at it now and I think, I wonder how many people paid attention to that and how many people just skimmed over it and went later, so who's this person? But that I don't do that anymore. So, I learned from it. And you like Jacqueline was saying earlier, do I ever want to rewrite my books? And it's like those kind of things you look at and you think, God, I wish I'd done that differently. But you can't change it. You can't. And like I said, there are stories that I have written that are never going to see the light of day, that nobody other than me is going to read them. And that's okay. I have stories that I write even now that are just me telling myself a story, and I don't care whether it contradicts itself later on, because it's not to be published. It's just for me to have fun telling myself this story. It's part of my self-care, which may sound weird because it's still writing, but it's not. It's this escape. It's just a world where I can make this happen or that happen, and it doesn't really matter whatever, because I am never going to show it to anybody else. It's just my personal story.
Absolutely. And it's like there are pieces of writing that are purposefully just for self-care. Writing is very therapeutic, and it doesn't, not everything that you do will see the light of day, because it is just what it is. But what you were saying about writing, that I don't think it has a ceiling, I agree, because while we have the formula, or like the more marketable approach of like telling a story that has a beginning, a middle, an end, and like a hero's journey and a quest and a coming of age and all those categories, the more familiar stuff, sure, we do that, sure, we have that, and it works, it sells very well, it's amazing. But like after so many years of doing the same thing, you can start experimenting with different styles of writing. Like you can do multi POVs if you haven't done it before. You can do single POVs if you're always writing dual. Like I have done dual. I have done one single POV that was the romance. Because I challenged myself hard with that romance, and it wasn't very well received. It wasn't well received because it's not a genre expectation. It's okay. I'm okay. I can live with it, because I was sincere. What I wrote was very sincere. If it doesn't appeal, it's okay. Maybe it was just the wrong market. It's fine, but I'm not gonna rewrite it. So I challenged myself hard with that story.
Yeah.
And I did my homework apparently, so I'm happy that it works. But it's like now that like I am drafting two shorts. I have to. Why am I doing that? Because of writer's block, and I'm trying not to stay stuck with one, so I move to another, and that's what I'm trying to do now. But I have one that it's like a single POV with a sighted character. My God, I'm gonna suffer. But the focal point is a song. So I'm experimenting now. This story revolves around the song. That's not a writing formula. I'm experimenting there.
Yeah.
Another one that I'm doing is that this other character, this is going to be first person POV, and it's like diary entries.
Yeah.
And it's a blind character, so like there will be parts of the narration where he's like, okay, I'm switching to voice I'm switching to voice to text because I need
Yeah.
to dictate now. And that's the narration. Like, I'm dictating this now, so blah blah blah. And like people know that he's recording, and
Yeah.
so I have an experiment of like a diary of a blind person, and they have like a trip to Iceland, and it's a horror. What? Yeah, exactly. I am that kind of writer who just wants to experiment, even though I don't know how to do the regular thing yet, because I'm stupid. But
But I think part of the fun of writing is the fact that you can pretty much experiment with absolutely everything.
yes, and I see that freedom in your stories. I mean, sure, you do have a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's a novel. It's a YA. Yeah, but it's a very different kind of YA, and it's so refreshing. It's amazing to see it. It's and this, you see why I tell you that. I look up to you and I try to go my own path, because look at me, I'm experimenting like a horror with diary entries with a blind person. What are you doing, girl? The thriller short story is like a dual POV in first person, but they are like talking to each other in a
Yeah.
way. So it's like the what? That was very hard to pull out. That was
But you did
rough.
it.
I
But, you,
did it with help. I had help.
but
I
I
had
had
help.
help too.
Yeah.
Everybody, I mean, yes, at the end of the day, it's my name on the book. So I
Mhm.
get to take all the praise, but I also get to take all the blame.
But yeah, and also like you can see the acknowledgements page, and it's
Yeah.
long.
On
It's
the
a long
acknowledgements
one.
page, you can see that I acknowledge that other people have helped me. But you pulled it off. You did take that story and you did manage to do it. And yeah, it was hard, but you still managed to do it. And
It's a way of experimenting.
Yeah.
I just wanted something different, and the thing with that particular story, and I imagine that this is also what happens to you. I saw Cat Bowser's video about like the prejudice against first person,
Yeah.
and I was amazed. I was like, "Whoa! I write both, and I never had that bias." But hey, wait a moment, this is true.
Yeah.
It is true. I mean, I have written third. I have written first. I have written first with a nod to the second person, which is weird.
Yeah.
Because they talk to each other. It's like like exchange on exchange letters, or I don't know what that is,
Yeah.
but like it's like a dual dialogue thing. It's weird, but it worked. So like I don't have a prejudice to POV because I see that as another way of experimenting. I just wanted to start my writing journey experimenting right away. Like I have no time for formulas. I want to do what I want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think this is I see it because I'm already on it, even though I am very much a novice. But I see what you mean, that there is not a ceiling.
Yeah.
You put the ceiling. If you feel that that's it, that's your limit as of right now, that's your temporary ceiling, so to
Yeah.
speak. Tomorrow you could wake up in a year or so and say, hey, you know what, I want to write a graphic novel now, or you know what, I want to write a type of script. And there's no ceiling with writing.
Yeah.
I don't
isn't.
think there
No.
is.
No.
It's amazing.
But I'm starting to think that I need to take my pill soon, so I'm gonna have to start pulling this stream.
We're close to the 2-hour mark, so that's a
We
regular.
are, yeah.
Oh my god,
Doing a lot.
time flies.
So thank you everybody who is still here and has come along to join us. And I will think about doing another live at some point. I don't know when yet, but my videos, I post them on Thursdays and sometimes I post them on Sundays as well. All my information is linked in the description below, along with ARC form for Cramping Chronicles The First Twinge and the pre-order form for Cramping Chronicles The First Twinge, along with the swag form and all the rest of it. So thank you, Dal, for joining me.
Very happy to be here. So happy.
And thank you everybody for keeping me company for the past 2 hours or so. And thank you. Adra has said, as a plotter, this has been fascinating. Congrats again on the 500. thank you very much, and thank you everybody who came, and I will see you again soon. Bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.